As you go to put together the bassoon, keep in mind that it is a fragile instrument, and you want to make sure that you don't bend any of the keys, because that can cause some leaks in the instrument so that notes won't speak or the intonation might get out of whack. As you take the boot joint, you want to hold it by either of the metal ends, the bottom or the top. And you'll notice the boot joint has two receiving holes. One is smaller than the other. Into the smaller one, we're going to put the wing joint, which is the narrower of the two that go together. And find this concave area on the wing joint that has no keys on it, and it's going to parallel the larger hole as you insert it, and you can do small twists back and forth to get it all the way to the bottom so that the two joints touch. My instrument has two scratches, one at the top of the boot joint, one at the bottom of the wing joint, and those two scratches are supposed to align, approximately at least, in order for the two joints to align. So that can be very helpful. Not every bassoon has those scratches, however. Next, we're going to insert the long joint, otherwise known as the bass joint, and you'll find the part of the joint that has no keys on it, and that's the part that's going to touch the wing joint. And you'll take the smaller of the two tenons on that joint and insert it in the hole. Again, with small twisting motions, back and forth. Some instruments have this locking mechanism that mine has. So if yours does, you'll need to activate that to hold the two joints together. You'll also want to check that these thumb keys are on the same parallel plane, and if not, you can make small adjustments by twisting either joint. And last but not least is the bell joint. And as you put that on, you want to close the one pad that's on that joint with your thumb and align this key with the key at the top of the bass joint and put the joints together. I recommend using a seat strap for seated playing rather than a neck strap, because seat straps hold the bassoon at the bottom and that creates a better balance of the instrument in your hands. I like this kind of seat strap with a cup at the bottom that holds the end of the boot joint. There are seat straps with a hook that can hook into a little hole in the bottom of the boot joint. The cup one gives you a little more flexibility in angling the instrument so that it fits your body position better. And you simply sit on the seat strap. And it's really important to find exactly the right height of the seat strap. Pull it down a little bit or pull it up a little bit in order to put the reed right at your mouth level. Otherwise, you end up slouching to get to the reed level or stretching too far up. But you want to find your good posture and adjust the bassoon to you. Next comes the bocal, otherwise known as a crook. And as you put the crook in, you always want to hold it by the curved part here. That's the strongest part of the bocal. Otherwise, the metal, which is actually kind of weak, can tear. There's a seam in the bocal, and that can tear, and it won't work anymore if that happens. So you want to insert the corked part of the bocal into the tube at the top of the wing joint, making sure that this whisper key pad is open. If that's locked shut at all, then you can tear that pad as you insert it, because there's this knob on the bocal, has a little hole in it. And I've seen many whisper key pads torn for this very reason. So be careful every time, holding the bocal at the curved part, gentle twisting in. If it squeaks at all while you're putting it in, you'll want to put some petroleum jelly or cork grease on the cork so that it goes in smoothly. I choose not to use a hand rest for the right hand, otherwise known as a crutch, but I do recommend it for people with very long fingers who are trying to play the bassoon, because it can help position the hand. This is a hand rest or crutch, and this kind of mechanism needs to be affixed to the bassoon with screws, and then the hand rest, every time you put the bassoon together, would be added in that position for the right hand. But again, I think only if you have really, really long fingers, and that holds your hand out farther from the instrument. Otherwise, you want a closer touch to the bassoon. And then you're all set to play once you've got a well wet reed and appropriate height to your seat strap.